This loss comes as a devastating blow to the Democrats, especially given Donald Trump has beaten them so convincingly. Naela Amaru is a Democratic strategist. She joined me from New York City a short time ago. Naela Amaru, thanks for joining us. What does this loss mean for the Democrats?
This loss is particularly hard for the Democrats for a few reasons. One, it means that we thought we had a winning strategy, and clearly we didn't just fall short, but we fell short in ways that we were not expecting to. We essentially lost our Democratic blue wall, and Trump was able to flip every state that Biden was able to flip back in 2020. And so this means essentially that we are going to have to, one, really invest in candidate development, build a bench of candidates that are more reflective of the American electorate. Two, really, I think having an internal assessment and figuring out where we went wrong. Is it messaging? Is it policy priorities? Is it that key demographics that are really important to Democratic Party turnout are feeling neglected? All of these issues have bubbled up at some point in the campaign, but when you're in the midst of a campaign, you're just trying to get to the finish line. And now that we've lost, this is now the opportunity for the Democratic Party to do some real deep self-reflection. And more importantly than just the self-reflection is making sure that the party is putting together the strategies and the policy platforms that speak to the voters so that we can begin to secure electoral wins again next election cycle.
As you mentioned, Donald Trump hasn't just won, he's won significantly. Has that taken Democrats by surprise?
I think maybe it's taking some Democrats by surprise. I am not surprised because one thing that I already knew about Donald Trump is that he has a very faithful, loyal base that shows up for him consistently. I think that what may come as a surprise to some people is maybe just the scale of how he won. I think that Democrats were really hoping that it would be a tighter race and not necessarily the mandate that Trump showed that he has, according to the Electoral College. And so I think that's a big takeaway for the Democratic Party, again, is not every state is California or Texas. There are some real purple states out there, and clearly Democrats this election cycle did not connect. It did not bring out the voters that we needed to win.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's performance?
Her performance as a candidate electorally, I think a few things. One, Kamala Harris's main challenge was when Biden stepped aside was to make sure that she would be able to maintain the electoral coalition that Biden was able to patch together to essentially defeat Trump back in 2020. And clearly, the party was not able to do that. And so I think that this is not necessarily a reflection of Kamala Harris as a candidate, because elections are more than just about a candidate. There's so much more to elections than who is running. It's our policy platforms, it's our strategies, it's a lot of things. And so I think that she performed as best as she could given the circumstances. Remember, this is, it feels like years ago, but she was just named as our primary presidential candidate less than 4 months ago, right? And so in that time span, to be able to define who she is as a candidate, what she stands for, what differentiates her from Biden, and what differentiates her from Trump, it's a delicate tightrope to walk, especially when she can't differentiate herself too far from Biden, since she is the current part of the administration. And I think ultimately that is what led to the Democratic defeat, is that the Republicans came out and they clearly said, we do not want a continuation of Biden. And because Kamala Harris is associated as part of that administration, they decided to choose something different. And in this case, in this election cycle, that something different was Donald Trump.
Naela Amaru is a Democratic strategist. She was speaking from New York.